Happy Thursday, Paul Hadley Middle School. It is Thursday, April 16th, 2020, and this is your daily video announcement. Number one, I just want to give you some encouragement. The week is half over. If you're watching this, you only have today and tomorrow left for e-learning to do work for this week. So, hey, congratulations, good job, well done. You are on your way to the weekend. Number two, I just want to give you some brief reminders about what it is that you're going to be required to do today. Number one, you have to take your attendance quiz because, you know, every day you need to take that. If you aren't logging in and doing your attendance quiz or doing an assignment, you'll be marked tardy, or not tardy, absent in Skyward, and we don't want you to be marked absent in Skyward. Number two, you're going to be doing a writing assignment today. So as soon as you're done listening to me babble on forever and ever and a day, then you're going to go in, you're going to type up a short writing assignment that is going to be connected to the short story that we read yesterday, No News or What Killed the Dog by Ray Bradbury. And then when you're done writing your writing assignment, feel free to move on to another class, and I will then reconvene with you on Friday. Now, what do you need to know before doing your writing assignment for today? Well, your writing assignment needs to do some of the same things that the short story by Ray Bradbury did yesterday. One of those things, I'm going to give you just kind of a list of things that I think were really important that Ray Bradbury did in his short story that I also want you to do. Number one, his characters triumph by behaving morally. This is something I talked about in the video before you read the short story yesterday. Triumphing by behaving morally, having a moral compass, a compass between what is right versus what is wrong, and the right way to behave based on that moral sense in your head versus right and wrong. So in your short story, you need to have characters that show that their actions are based in this moral right versus wrong in their head, and because they do the right thing, they are triumphant. Number two, what I want you to do is to show your characters being human, not mechanical. That was something that Ray Bradbury said. He was really influenced by a guy named Robert Heinlein, who was a science fiction author. That he really appreciated about Heinlein's writing was that his characters were more human than mechanical. They weren't robotic, they weren't stiff, they weren't cold, they were warm people. And because of that, those characters were better off and more successful in terms of connecting with a reader and just making a story that is worth reading or listening to or paying attention to. So I want your characters to be more human, not mechanical. And then the third thing is that people have to be coming together to deal with something as a family. Now, this doesn't have to be a literal family. There are a lot of times in literature throughout tons and tons of different stories where people come together and they unite and they find a connection with each other, and they almost are family. They're not biologically family, but because of the deep devotion they have to each other, they might as well be family. So I want you to have characters in your story who are able to come together and deal with something as a family through love, compassion, unity, support, and concepts like that. Next, I also want you to kind of look back at the short story to see how those things play out in the short story that I just talked about. The triumph by being moral, being human, not mechanical, and then come together as a family. There are examples of that in the short story, No News or What Killed the Dog. For example, being human. The emotional responses from each character, the sadness and the anger. It is human to be angry when something happens. I want you to pay attention to the characters as they learn that the dog has passed away, their reactions to death, because there is a very real, very raw response by a lot of those characters in the short story through that. Next, I also want to point out where there was triumph by behaving morally. They were able to get through it as a family, because they literally were a family, but because they behaved morally. They respected the dead. And even though it was a pet, they still considered it a part of the family, and had this very emotional response. And that is a reflection of their moral sense of right and wrong. It's right to respect people when they have passed away, even if they're not around anymore. You need to respect them, and as a family come together and show respect through the grieving process of that person that has passed on. So I want you to come up with your own story today. There's going to be a 3-paragraph minimum on this. I want you to type it up in a Google Doc. I want you to follow MLA format like we always do if we were in a classroom, but I want you to type this up and I want you to submit this through Canvas today. 3-paragraph minimum. Does that mean you have to stop at 3 paragraphs? Absolutely not. If you want to go and do a 3-page story about this, that's fine. But remember, I don't want you to work for more than 30 minutes on this particular assignment for my class, because then that might rob you of time to work for other classes. If you have questions, I want you to message me through Canvas or email me through your Gmail account. And if I don't hear from you, I will assume that everything is going super, super well. I will see you all tomorrow.